Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Season 4, Episode 2. So we're here with another episode today, continuing on with this. And funny enough, the trailer for the fifth and final season was just released. That was just released today. I have not watched it, and I won't watch it because spoilers. It's probably going to show stuff relevant to later on in season 4, so it's like I don't want to be spoiled on that. I don't want to find out any information that I don't already know. And I know very little, so very little. So last time we left off with the first episode, Glimmer has been crowned queen. Like, she is just legitimately queen. And in order to get to the coronation and everything, she did have to pass this test first, with help from Bo and Adora as her two guides. Basically, she had to infiltrate a temple and bring in a lantern to a pedestal. But in order to do so, they had to first subdue this guardian beast. So it's like, it seems kind of contrived a little bit, a little unnecessary, but whatever. They managed to do it, and there was a very big moment in there about Glimmer missing her mother, and more than that, just seeing how everybody else is just seemingly trying to push past that and ignore what happened, and just kind of like act like nothing is wrong when everything is wrong. And of course, Adora and Bo comfort her and help her through that, and assure her that, oh, they know everything's wrong. They fully agree with her, but they've been trying to ignore it for her sake. And we've seen that kind of thing done in many different shows. We have. Many different shows, many different movies, the kind of thing. It's like, oh, we're just trying to be strong for your sake. It's like, we understand that everything's wrong. Hell, the series finale of My Little Pony did that. So it's like, it's not even like that old of a concept, like from older shows and movies. But yeah, so on the other hand, we had Catra kind of taking over the Horde. She basically subdued Hordak and took over for him. Now, it's kind of presumed that Hordak is still, like, publicly in charge, but Catra's making it clear that she's calling the shots now. Scorpia, meanwhile, is just trying to kind of understand things, and she's just trying to, be Scorpia, be nice, be helpful and everything. We see that she's watching over Emily, in the absence of, why does her name always escapes me? You know who I'm talking about. I can't think of her name, and but and yeah, it's just the first episode was all set up. It was just setting up kind of the new dynamics that this season's going to have. Obviously, with Glimmer as queen, that's going to set up a lot of new dynamics with her friends even, but also just in general with her character and with the rest of the cast, both main and other. I still hypothesize that she and Adora are going to fall out at a point. They're going to have a temporary falling out to where they like either really heavily disagree on something, or Adora does something against Glimmer's wishes, or whatever. Something to where they have a falling out temporarily, and it just continues to show how Glimmer is evolving as a character, well, and Adora to a degree as well, but more so how Glimmer is just changing with her new role, which I think is very necessary to show. Um, but on top of that, it was also, of course, setting up that things are going to be much different with Catra in charge of the Horde. Um, because here's the thing that we have to acknowledge. Catra is more successful than Hordak. Catra's plans have actually worked more often than not. And while her plans aren't always the best or the smartest, see last season, um, she definitely has a better head for strategy. Hordak, his entire thing is pretty much predicated solely on trying to open the portal for Horde Prime to come through, but also trying to make it safely so that it's like it actually works and everything. So it's like he has no real other goals. He doesn't really care about taking over the planet. He doesn't care. That's not his goal. He just wants to prove himself to Horde Prime. Catra, meanwhile, Catra actually wants to take over. And granted, a lot of Catra's motivations are fueled by her abandonment issues, her issues with having grown up being abused and stuff. And that's all well and good. But I feel like that she's kind of perpetuating that in a way. It's like the cycle of abuse, you know? Because she was abused by Shadow Weaver. Shadow Weaver by Hordak. Hordak, I guess, probably by Horde Prime, maybe? Has it really said one way or the other? I mean, it's clear that Horde Prime thought he was a failed clone and whatnot, right? And so it's like he was kind of banished there in the first place, I believe, if I'm remembering the lore right. So it's like, I think that's what it was. I don't know, like I said, it had been a while since I watched any of the show. Um, and to be fair, some things that I'm remembering I might have found out like via Twitter, just seeing random things and kind of like subconsciously kind of just putting them into my memory banks. um, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know because I actively avoid spoilers, so it's like I don't know. I think that's what it was though. That he was a failed clone of Horde Prime, and because of it, he was banished here, and now he's trying to open the portal to bring Horde Prime here to kind of get back in his good graces, basically. But either way, yeah, Catra definitely wants to just conquer. She wants to be on top because that feeling of power, that feeling of control keeps her from thinking about the abuse she suffered. It keeps her from thinking about everything where she wasn't in control, everything where she didn't have that kind of autonomy in a way. She wants to feel like she's in control, and she's handling it completely wrong, obviously. But I still think she will be redeemed at some point. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be by the end of the season. It depends on what happens in this season. It really does. But that's what I'm thinking. Because, I don't know, just waiting until the final season, till the last minute, might seem like a little much to me, but we'll see. Either way, yeah, I don't know much of anything else going forward. Like I said, I actively keep away from spoilers. There is one thing I know. Like I know there's a non-binary character in this season. I don't know what their character really is at all. I just know that there is a non-binary character because that was on social media and it was a big deal that not only was the character non-binary, I think the voice actor is as well, um, which is awesome. That was a big thing on Twitter that even I couldn't avoid seeing when that was announced. I don't know what role they play. I don't know what their character's like, so yeah. I think back then I had seen like a picture, like a still shot or something of what they looked like, but I don't remember. I don't remember at all. Um, yeah, I really know nothing about what's to come other than what I can infer based on what we've got so far. Like, I can infer that Horde Prime is going to be the final bad guy. I can infer that he's probably going to come in by the end of this season and be the main antagonistic driving force of the next and final season. I can infer that Catra is going to get redeemed at some point. I can infer that they're probably going to rescue Entrapta. That's her name, by the way. I did remember it. That they're probably going to rescue Entrapta from Beast Island at some point. I can see Scorpia going to this good side before Catra does. All this kind of stuff is like, it's easy to tell because the series has set this kind of stuff up. But the thing is, we don't know how it's going to be done. We don't know how it's going to be executed, what's going to be the, like, pushing point for setting, or for executing on all of this. That is still up in the air. So it's like, yeah, you could tell this stuff's going to happen. You just don't know how and when. Um, and so that's what's the interesting part about it. It's the exciting part, even though you can obviously tell things are going to happen. Um, and obviously, in the end, the good guys are going to win. It's that kind of series where it's like, yeah, the good guys are going to prevail. Um, I could see, I could legitimately see more character deaths happening, though. I'm not going to lie, I could see some character deaths happening, even within the Princess Alliance. I don't know exactly who, but I could see it. Hell, I could see either Glimmer or Bow dying. I hate to say that, but I could. But only one of them, mind you. Not both. Both of them won't. One of them I could see. And I kind of lean more towards Bow. I think it would make more sense narratively. Rather than to have another queen killed off, you know? Especially so soon after ascending to the throne. I think it would just make more sense narratively. But yeah, it's like I could see character deaths happening and big things changing, but by the end, the good guys will still have won. Um, hell, actually, now that I think about it, I could see Shadow Weaver maybe dying. Maybe she ends up sacrificing herself, proving that she's actually come back to the side of light at one point. That would be interesting. But yeah, it's like otherwise, I have no clue exactly where this is going to head. Um, but I'm excited. I'm very excited to see where this goes, and I'm hoping for the best, so let's just get into it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I looked it up. And I was correct in what I said in the pre-thoughts. Double Trouble is voiced by Jacob Tobia, who indeed is non-binary. It is their, at least from what I can see, one of their first, like, notable roles. Looked like they worked on the series on season 4 of a series called Transparent as well. Looks like they did a couple things before that. Like there's this show called Queer 2.0. Um, was mentioned in other stuff, interviewed in other stuff. They're definitely activist and has been very active in that kind of stuff. Also has been acted as as a writer and everything. Shows their bibliography on here. Um, okay. Also, Grox, by the way, was voiced by Gray Griffin, um, or Gray Delisle, as she's also known. Um, Big name in voice acting there. I mean, she's the voice of Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I want to check on Grox though, real quick. So Grox is female. Okay, I was kind of wondering about that. The beard threw me off, but I guess it's just who she is. And again, that's fine. I wasn't sure, but hey, now I know, and that's fine. um, so yeah, this episode mainly, like the last episode, really did two things. It was definitely double focused, fitting, um, in on both the rebellion side and the horde side. So on the rebellion side, Glimmer, while having to act in her queenly duties, decides to send out a team to retrieve Mara's ship. They want to use it for the rebellion, obviously. So she initially is sending out Shira, Adora, as well as Bo and Huntara. But she's going to send out Mermista as well until it's kind of pointed out that Mermista won't have any water in the desert. So she notes how that's a good point and instead goes to get Perfuma because there are plants in the desert. There's cacti and whatnot. Um, but then it comes along that we find out Perfuma is not good with cacti. She actually doesn't like them, straight up, and she's not good at controlling them, which we come to see at multiple points. Um, but she does eventually, she is eventually able to help work through that thanks to Huntara. Um, One big thing I really liked about this episode, though, is the depth that it really did give to Perfuma. And again, Perfuma's been characterized really well in the past, but I really like what they did with her in this episode. I really feel like they wanted to build on this character a lot more. And so giving her this depth with her aversion to cacti and everything, as well as giving her a new friend to bond with Huntara, really just worked well. And I can already see some fans are probably going to be shipping Perfuma and Huntara now. And I could see it. There's a little bit of fuel there in this episode. Nothing too heavy, but I could see why people would ship them. Um, I've still tended to ship her more with Mermista in general, but I could see that too. Um, Now, there's a couple things I do need to know with that. I kind of mentioned them in the reaction. Mermista could have gone. She could have brought water with them. Like, they easily could have brought water. They could have fashioned some kind of case or something, some kind of carrying container, and easily brought water with them. Easily. I mean, hell, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, Katara brings water with her everywhere through a little pouch. And once she gets that special water, she always has that on her to use. So it's like, it just feels kind of silly. I mean, yeah, generally in the desert itself, there's not going to be much of any water. I mean, although cacti do have water in them. But still, it's just, that seems a little silly to me. Um, and then on top of it, it's like the roots. On Perfuma's side, why would there be all those roots underneath the ground in the desert still? Like, there's no trees around and all. Like, roots are, like, especially roots like those would be for trees. Where are those coming from? There's no trees around. There's nowhere for those roots to be connected to. Unless it's just kind of trying to say, like, oh, there were trees before the Crimson Waste became a desert, and the roots just happen to still be there, which seems, it seems really weird, and especially that they would still be healthy enough and everything. It just, I don't know, that just seemed off to me. Admittedly. I mean, that's a minor thing, all things considered. It's not that big a deal. I'm more worried with the major parts of the story and the characters and whatnot. I'm not as worried about if there's a technical error regarding there being roots in the desert. That's not as big a deal, but it did stand out to me, and I did want to mention it. Um, but yeah, so on the good side, our heroes in the rebellion, they head out to the desert and they're trying to get Mara's ship. They find it missing, and so they follow it to this old thieving den and find that the Horde had taken it and everything. So they're trying to get it back and all, and by the end they do. Everything goes well. Everything, Glimmer's first mission that she orchestrated was a success. And so, yeah. Also, I do want to note something here, comparing this to MLP for a second. There's an episode in MLP where the big joke is that Discord and most of the members of the main six, save for Twilight, are like sharing these kind of inside jokes with each other. That they have these inside jokes, and the entire point of the episode is basically like, you had to be there to get it. The problem is, we as the viewers don't get it because we don't have the context behind any of behind any of the inside jokes. As such, the episode comes off as more annoying and confusing, and especially with the fact that Discord and the members of the main six are getting along so well, considering they never have before, outside of Fluttershy, of course. And that made that episode extremely hard to watch and extremely annoying, just really poorly done. This is a better example of that, because in this episode we saw the inside joke with Perfuma and Huntara. And Glimmer didn't understand what was going on, what their little gag was about at the end there. And when Adora's like, oh, you had to be there, it's like, we were there. We understand context. It works. That's how you do that kind of thing right. I did just want to mention that as well, because that instantly came to mind when I was watching. But in the meantime, let's talk about the Horde side of this episode. So, the Horde had gotten their hands on Mara's ship. Catra and Scorpio are out there doing their job and trying to get things back and everything. When they're confronted by Double Trouble. Double Trouble is this lizard elf-looking guy. Not guy, creature. This lizard elf-looking creature, who's non-binary. And they are a shapeshifter. They're able to turn into anyone, but not just transform into someone. They make a point of copying their mannerisms, their personality, all of that stuff. They want to truly become them, not just look like them. And so Catra decides to agree to work with Double Trouble in order to use them to distract Adora and all that. And it works. It does. Um, Even though Adora and them succeed in getting Mara's ship back, Catra sees that she was fooled. That Adora was fooled by Double Trouble and knows that she can use that in the future. My question is, why is Double Trouble working with them? Like, Double Trouble approached Catra about this. It wasn't the other way around. I mean, Catra is the one who agreed to work with them and is the one who chose to accept the offer, but the offer was initially made by Double Trouble. It was their choice. Why? Why was this done? I'm just curious. I'm legitimately curious as to what the deal with that is. Is Double Trouble somehow secretly a double agent? Because that could be interesting. Like, maybe that had to do with the war meeting that Glimmer was going to. Or maybe something else is going on. Maybe Double Trouble has some reason to approach the Horde and work with them. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. It's really hard to say. I don't know what their motive is. I don't know whether we can trust them or not. It's really hard to say. But I think that's kind of the point. Double Trouble is a shapeshifter, and one that makes a point out of the fact that they are copying personality and all of this stuff, mannerisms. So it's like they're making it very clear that they become other people. That could very easily tie in with the idea that maybe they're a double agent and they're simply acting this way to get on Catra and Scorpia's good side, the Horde's good side in general. I don't know. It's really hard to say what is real and what is acting about them. We're just gonna kind of have to see. So yeah, in the end, like the first episode, this does kind of set up some stuff for the continuation of this season. Huntara wants to stay behind, it seems, so she's probably not going to be a major driving force in this season. Glimmer is starting to get used to not being able to go out on missions herself, instead kind of organizing everything and running things, which she does seem definitely down about, but that's definitely going to impact her character's growth throughout the season. And we'll kind of see what comes of that. Excuse me, by the way. Yeah, it's setting up things with Double Trouble, with Catra and the Horde, and it's like, now that the Rebellion has Mara's ship, that's setting up a lot for the future. Things are just really getting started. Like, I feel like the first 3 seasons of this were all set up for what's about to come. This season and next season, the final season, are where things are really getting started. And so it's like these first 2 episodes continuing that setup and continuing to, in a way, build upon what we've gotten by progressing things to the future, especially with Glimmer and whatnot, and Catra kind of taking over with the Horde. It's definitely going to build into something exciting. And I definitely think that this is going to be another season that ends on a big cliffhanger, that ends on something really huge happening. I don't know exactly what, but it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be probably, I would probably say Horde Prime. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to end with Horde Prime coming through. we'll have to see. Um, Hopefully everything goes well with this season, though, like in terms of the writing, the characterizations. Hopefully, it continues to be as entertaining and fantastic as ever. We'll just kind of have to see. There's nothing else I can say about it. In the meantime, tell me what you thought of this episode down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.